Alright everybody, welcome back to another Xvault gaming video. Xvault here, and today what we have to go over is some news that dropped recently anyways, and that's in regards to the long-rumored PlayStation Slim model. So there's a lot to unpack here, a lot to go over here, so let's get through it as quickly as possible and get to the meat of this here. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump to it. Alright, so like we were saying, what we're going to go over is the newly announced PlayStation Slim models. Again, these have been highly rumored that these were going to be coming out. A lot of mock-ups as well for this, which is really interesting. Those came very close to some of these guesses coming out, so I'm going to give some props to that for the folks out there that went ahead and did some mock-up presentations for this. It's very, very similar. So, that being said, there's a lot to kind of go over here, so let's go over the specs. Let's go over why there might be the specs they are. Let's go over the price points. Let's go over who this is for, and more and more. So as we're going through, I'm going to pull this via the PlayStation blog as I'm talking here, but I will be putting up different screens and stuff like that for you to kind of look at the models as well as some details as well. However, they stating that the new PS5 has been reduced in volume by more than 30%. And weight by 18% and 24% compared to the previous models. There are 4 separate cover panels with the top portion in a glossy look, while the bottom remains in matte. If you purchase the PS5 Digital Edition, you can add the Ultra HD Blu-ray disc drive for PlayStation 5 later, as it will also be sold separately for around $79.99 USD. 119.99 euro, 99.99 GBP, and 11,980 JPY. Going further down, they state that the new PS5 model will be available starting this November in the US at select local retailers and, of course, at direct.playstation.com. Where available, of course. It will continue to roll out globally in the following months. However, once the inventory of the current PS5 models have been sold out, the new PS5 will become the only model available. So keep that in mind. We'll go over that in just a moment. Some of the specs here, like I said, we got the different price points and such, so I'm going to go over mainly the US stuff, but please look into your region as well for accurate pricing. The recommended retail prices for the new PS5 model are as follows, beginning with the rollout in November at participating retailers. So again, in the US, the PS5 with the Ultra HD Blu-ray disc drive still stays the same at $499.99. However, the biggest change here is coming to the PS5 Digital Edition. Instead of the $399.99, this has gone up another $50, so you are looking at $449.99, and I believe that translates across the board in most regions, by the way, as far as the increase and whatnot. So that being said, there's some stuff to go over there. Now the horizontal stand will be included with the new PS5 model. Also, a new vertical stand compatible with all PS5 models will be sold separately at $29.99 USD, of course. So we'll go over that in just a moment as well. A variety of PS5 console cover colors for the new model will be available starting in early 2024, including an all matte black colorway and the Deep Earth Collection colors in Volcanic Red, the Cobalt Blue, and of course the Sterling Silver, which is my favorite color so far. Prices for the PS5 console covers will start at $54.99 USD, so again, similar to across the regions and board there. And then they go on to mention we are only 10 days away from Marvel's Spider-Man 2 with additional games coming, including Alan Wake 2, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3, launching shortly with fantastic games coming in addition to recent releases such as EA Sports FC 24, Assassin's Creed Mirage, Baldur's Gate 3. There's plenty of games for gamers to play on the PlayStation 5 this holiday season. So the good news is the actual specs are real similar here. There's some good and bad to take away here, by the way. Some of that, as you noticed, is the $50 increase for the digital piece, which is super interesting. And I'll go over that here in just a moment as far as some thoughts. Now, the other piece of this is the stand, right? So it comes with a little bit of a stand, a real simple stand where you can lay it, horizontal, which is all fine and dandy. However, for you wanting to stand up the new models of the PlayStation 5, it does not come with that stand. Like I mentioned, $29.99 to buy that stand. It's like it does seem kind of cool in a way, but I don't know if this is real metal for that metal ring or if it's like a plastic metal appeal look. Obviously, I haven't had this in my hands or had more, to dissect on there. That's a little wonky, in my opinion, to buy that stand vertically. I know a lot of folks that do own the PlayStation 5, and most of them do stand their consoles up vertically and don't lay them horizontally. I know some of us, depending on your setup, wherever your entertainment setup is at, you do have to lay that down because of shelving and this, that, and the other. But for those that are used to doing that, you're going to have to buy that stand if you do want to stand it up. Most consoles, just an FYI, have always been, horizontal. So just kind of keep that in mind. It does save space in other myriads of ways, and shelving and tiers of entertainment stands and all that. I'm not condoning or saying that it's okay to sell this stand separately. As a matter of fact, I don't agree with that. So I am on record stating that. Now, the other piece of this is now, instead of just the two panels, right, you have 4 panels that have to come off. They detach and attach and all that stuff. So I'm going to look forward to some maybe early breakdowns and stuff of this before it's released to the public to see how that works. So those of you that have current stands with your current models, not stands, I'm sorry, but current face plates, like limited edition ones or whatever, and for some reason or the other that you want to or have to upgrade to the newest model because let's say your system goes out or you just didn't get one yet or something, whatever, right? Those won't work with the new models. So that's a pain point. That's a sting point. I also don't agree with that. However, I did think about this ahead of time, and one of the reasons why I never bought a plate, the face plates for these, was because I knew there would eventually be a slim version, and I didn't think it would be very accurate to assume that those would work with the new slim models. Now, I don't personally have a reason for the slim model right now. I think the smaller size, the smaller weight, and such is a great option. And if it was a straight across the table trade, I would totally do that. However, that's not the case. So, again, there's some good and bad to take away with this. I'm going over some of the cons first. And again, the faceplates don't transfer over. You have to buy a stand separately. Now, if you want that to stand vertically, the $50 increase for the digital version, I think that's not good. That's not consumer friendly at all. But I'm also not shocked because, again, I'm not condoning this, but a business is going to business. I've said this multiple times. It's almost like a phrase of mine anymore. Whether it be Nintendo, PlayStation, or Microsoft, they're going to business. They're going to do what makes money. They're not our friends, as much as we like to think so. I've seen a lot of folks on social media reaching out to Aaron Greenberg and wanting to go camping together and whatever they want to do together. And the same for other parties involved on other platforms, but they're not our friends. They want to come off as friendly. They are friendly. They want to service us as customers, but that's where the buck stops. All right, they're not our friends. They're here to make money. They have a job and they want to do it well. And that's just the end of the story there. So the other piece of this is some good takeaways is they will at least be making the faceplates if you were looking forward to the new colors and such for the slim models, right? I think that's at least a good thing. At least it does come with a stand to lay down, horizontally if you do have to do that, right? So there is at least that. The other part that I think is odd is the fact that they're increasing that $50 price point, right, for the digital version. So for another $50, you can just get the whole kit and caboodle where you have the disk drive all together. It's a nice option to add in the additional Blu-ray drive, right, for the digital version, even though it's $80. So if you were to get the digital version and then later on change your mind about not having the disk drive and then you purchase that, two sides to this, right? One is at least you have the option. That's the pro. At least you have the option where if you have the new Xbox one that's coming out and it's the same, price point and specs and all that of the Series X, you don't have the option to put in a disk drive later on if you do choose to change your mind or whatever the case is. So half glass full, at least you have the option to do that. The half less full is, I think that you need to take a moment, and if you are seeing this video, I think if you can do everything possible, save up that extra $50 if you don't have it, and just purchase the slim model that has the disk drive. You're going to be better off in the long run. If you want to rent something physically from Redbox to watch a movie, if you like buying physical games, and sometimes those games go on great sales for Black Friday and stuff like that, or any other sales physically elsewhere, you have that option. I highly recommend always having that disk drive. So in my opinion, I would say steer away from the all digital version. Before this, I think, if you knew what you were getting into and you were saving a full $100 and you're A-okay with that, then great. But the fact that it's now just a $50 difference in the price point, and if you do change your mind later and it's $80, I'm going to say go with the disk drive, right? So just a word of advice there. And if you're not and you're 100% okay with digital and you want to save just the 50, go ahead. But I still think that the best option is just go ahead and get that disk drive version. So keep that in mind. And again, who is this for, right? Who is this console for? The console is for the consumers out there that, again, I kind of briefly mentioned, maybe your system went out and it's past warranty, or you don't feel like sending it in because a new game's coming out and you want to get that, another system in there. I've done that in the past with the 360 and Halo 3 and stuff like that. Where I had Red Ring of Death 2-3 times, and I just didn't want to wait for it to be repaired because every time that it had to be repaired, there was a brand new game coming out, and I was like, forget it. I'm just going to get the new system and get to playing those games day one. Wasn't very smart, value-wise as far as throwing my money out the window, but being a mainstream, being a hardcore gamer, I consider myself, because I game all the time. That's what I did. Anyways. That being said, so it's for those that maybe, again, your system went out, right? And then the other option is for those of you that maybe haven't adopted another system yet, you haven't bought into the new ecosystem or the next gen, then this is what's happening, right? This original model's phased out here soon, and this will be the only model available, and there you go. So that's who it's kind of geared towards as well. But again, I think the smaller and lighter, and it's supposed to be less noisy. It does come with 1 terabyte as opposed to like the 800 and some gig. So you get a little bit more memory from it. So there's pros and cons. I see the cons of being like, whoa, there's a lot of things that are not consumer friendly. And then there's some pros that are like, this kind of works out as well in a way. So again, just kind of depends on your scenario, depends on what you're looking for, and so on and so forth. So again, I'm not going to condone the greediness of the company. I'm not going to back that up and say it's okay. It's not. But I'm out here just laying out the facts for y'all and what to choose, and kind of some of my advice as well. So keep that in mind. Now, that being said as well, I think to end this on another positive note is the fact that since these were heavily rumored and were right, I think we might see a PlayStation 5 Pro. I had this mentioned in a previous video, like many videos ago, and there's some hard rumors about that was in the works. So I think they're going to kind of let this, surface and be out in the public as well as an option. If we are getting a PlayStation 5 Pro, the announcement I think would have to be coming within the first quarter of next year. So if we don't see it by then, I don't think we're getting one, unless for some weird reason they're going to prolong this generation, which I, in a way, hope not, because you might as well just come out with the next gen after that point. The system's already been out for a few years. We're basically almost halfway through its life cycle, so either we get that Pro version now, and it works until when you want to upgrade to the next gen, or let's just get to the next gen. But again, just some options, perception, stuff like that. Again, I will not condone, I know I've said this multiple times, I'm not going to condone the greediness of what's going on. But I also understand as a business standpoint what's going to happen, but I'm not backing that up. But there are some pros out of this as well. Again, this isn't for me. My system still works. I have no desire to go and trade mine in or sell it and then get this version. Would I like it to be, a little less noisy? I don't notice mine being noisy. Would I like it smaller? Sure, absolutely. Who wouldn't want a smaller machine in their house, right? But aside from that, I really don't have a reason for me, and I think for a lot of already PlayStation 5 owners. But I will say one last word of advice. Before these original models do sell out, be sure to go grab you one. Go grab you one if you're not interested in any of the slim models and what comes with it. Again, if you plan on getting the disc version, the slim model $499.99, it's not a bad deal. However, you're going to have to pay a little bit extra for that stand. So you're still tacking on another $30, right? Plus tax, depending on where you live, which is probably most places. So that's the thoughts, that's the specs, that's the breakdown, that's the reason whys, who's it for, all that stuff there. If you have further questions and I have the availability to do so, I will certainly answer those. Feel free to drop those comments down below and I can definitely, kind of dive a little bit deeper in there if I can, but would love to hear from you one way or the other. Does this appeal to you? Do you think it's good? Do you think it's bad? Would love to hear all of that stuff there. And if you haven't already, definitely consider liking. If you haven't as well, consider subscribing, helping out a small content creator like myself, and that goes so far. And we are at 749 subscribers out of 1,000. You guys, we're still climbing. We're doing fantastic. So thank you. I can't thank you enough. And we'll go from there. But until then, we'll see y'all next time on the next Xvault gaming video. And until then, take care.